Everybody, it is now 6 o'clock. I think people will be joining us as they come in, which is fine. I will just take care of some logistics before we get started. This presentation is being recorded. We will make this available at the senators and House members' websites under our Academy sections for you to review, hopefully within a week. With that in mind, please keep your videos shut off and your microphones shut off to not disrupt the presentation. If there are questions during the presentation, please utilize the chat box. People will be monitoring that box to answer any questions as they come. If we do not get to your question at the end of the presentation, we will have time for more questions. Feel free to re-enter that question into the chat box so we can address it. But we will make every attempt to answer your questions as we're going along. That being said, if there is any potential follow-up, we will be providing contact information throughout the presentation. So be sure you have a pen and pad accessible so that you can write and jot down numbers or emails. But feel free to contact any of the congressional offices for any questions or information you might have. We will get started in just a moment. Let me just make sure we've got certain things in place. It looks like we have one question right now. If the presentations are for ROTC New Mexico only, I believe those are the folks that will be presenting, but they might be able to provide ROTC information for other locations. Hopefully they'll all get addressed as we go along. And with that, I think we have a good number of folks logged in, so we will go ahead and get started so that we can have as much possible time for questions towards the end. So again, welcome to this presentation. My name is Miguel Negrete. I'm with Senator Martin Heinrich's office, and I oversee his military academy nomination process. Today, we're going to be doing a review of the congressional process in order to get a nomination. We'll also have an opportunity to hear from the various academies and ROTC programs and New Mexico Military Institute to see what their process is to get an offer and what their programs offer. So to begin with, the congressional process. Who can make a nomination? There's basically two avenues to getting nomination. There's congressional and service connected. Service connected is reserved for individuals whose parents are currently in the military. If you qualify through that avenue, I would recommend your parent speak to their chain of command to see what the process is to get that service connected nomination. Today, we're going to be focusing mainly on the congressional process, which means you can receive a nomination through both your senators, which would be Senator Heinrich and Senator Lujan, your House member representatives, which would be Representative Stansberry, Vasquez, and Ledger Fernandez, or through the Vice President's office, Vice President J.D. Vance. You can go through the White House's website to see what his process is to receive a nomination through the Vice President. So, who can qualify to apply right now? You are able to submit an application if, come July 1st of 2026, you are at least 17 years old, but have not passed age 23. If you're within that range, you're more than welcome to apply right now. If you are not, you are under 17 by July of next year, this is a great time for you to gather information and start preparing to apply the following year. Along with that age requirement, you must be a U.S. citizen. You must be unmarried, not pregnant, and have no legal obligations to support children or any other dependents. If you meet these three requirements, you're able to submit an application for a possible nomination. The nominations consist of an application, which has a questionnaire. It includes essays. You'll be sending us your ACT and or SAT scores, your official high school transcript. If you are also taking college courses or have graduated high school and are currently in college, you can submit those transcripts also. Some letters of recommendation. And if you have all those things in order and submitted by October 4th, you will be guaranteed a interview with the congressional offices. So what does your packet consist of? For the Senate, we have an online application. That means you will go to both Senator Heinrich's office website and Senator Lujan's office website to create a profile. They look very similar, but you need to create one for each office if you're going to apply through both of our offices. When you do, you will have access to your application. This application is basically your opportunity to tell us all about yourself. So be sure you add every detail you can. For your school and community activities, list any school involvement that you are participating in. Anything outside of school, like Big Brothers or Girl Scouts, list that. Your athletic involvement, any sports you're taking in school or even outside of school, list those. List any honors and awards, be it in or outside of school. If you're working a part-time job, list your work experience. In this application, you will also have the opportunity to rank your academy preferences. That means if you're interested in possibly going to all four academies that require a congressional nomination, list those in your order of preference. If you're interested in only one academy, just list that one. If it's between two, you can rank them. But we're going to use this ranking to try to determine which school you want to get into and whether or not we have an opening to get you into that school. You'll also be providing an essay or essays. Our office for Senator Heinrich requires 2 essays. Along with that, you're going to be sending us your test scores, ACT and or SAT. You can take these tests as many times as you need to improve your scores because all of our offices take a super score. That means we're going to take the highest score in each content area to boost your overall composite. If we see that you scored better on the SAT than the ACT, then we will use that score and vice versa. Your scores need to be sent to us directly by the testing programs. Each office has a unique code, and when you create your profile, you will have access to that code. So be sure you take note of those. We'll also be receiving official transcripts from your school. We need to get these directly from your school. They need to include your fall schedule and show an unweighted GPA. You're going to be providing us with letters of recommendation. On the Senate side, we require 2 that are academic and 1 that is non-academic. My suggestion on your letters of recommendation is making sure you ask someone who's going to take the time to write a proper letter on your behalf. If you go to an elected official, let's say the governor's office, and she provides you a letter recommendation, but it just says, Jane is a great student, she would make a great applicant for the academy, I highly support her. It doesn't tell me much about you. I'd rather get a letter from your neighbor who can tell me how you started a recycling program in the neighborhood, or how you every winter go and clear the snow off of everyone's driveway to help them out. Give me a letter recommendation from someone that can attest to your qualities of leadership, your character, things that would reflect why you'd make a good candidate for a military academy. Those really have an impact. These letters of recommendation will go through a link system. So when you create your profile, you'll be able to email them a link with the request for a letter, and they'll be able to use that link to upload their letters of recommendation to our offices directly. If you're looking for someone to provide a letter of recommendation to multiple offices, they can do the same letter. Just let them know that they just have to address it properly to each office. It's okay if they do that. Um, it just makes it easier for them. And also, I would recommend if you're going to ask someone to provide a letter of recommendation, please do it with advance notice. As the months go by, they are getting more and more requests for letters. So the more leeway they have, the more time they'll take to write a proper letter for you. So please keep that in mind. When you create your profile, you're going to have access to a checklist. This is your best friend. This will tell you what has been submitted and what we've recorded for you. If you see something on this list that you know has been submitted, but we don't have it marked as complete, contact us. It's very possible that we have it, but have not inputted that information, or we might not have received it. And that'll give you ample time to find out what happened, get us a copy, um, do what you can to make sure we get everything that is required on this checklist submitted before your due date. Now, if you look at the right-hand corner, there will always be in yellow a sign that shows when the due date is at midnight. This year, all of our applications for across the board are due on October 4th at midnight. And that is a hard deadline. Now, for the House side, they have a different method. They have a PDF application that you will download from the prospective websites. If you're not sure which House district you belong to, feel free to contact Senator Lujan or Senator Heinrich's office, and we'll be happy to look that up for you. But if you are in Representative Melanie Stansberry's office, um, pretty much you have the same process. You're going to have an application for nomination. You're going to have an essay, two letters of recommendation, transcripts, and ACT, SAT scores. Same with Representative Vasquez. And with Representative Ledger Fernandez, you will also include a resume with your packet. Uh, Once everything is submitted, as I mentioned, you'll be guaranteed an interview on November 8th for the Senate side. On the House side, they have different dates, which I will share later. But if you do get an offer to be interviewed, please be prepared. That means you should practice interviewing. Have somebody ask you questions about yourself. The folks that are going to be interviewing you are going to be utilizing the packets that you've submitted to come up with questions to ask you about yourself. So feel comfortable in speaking about yourself. Also, utilize this interview time to highlight any information about yourself that you want to make sure these individuals know. If it's not brought up during their questions, but it's in your packet, bring it up to them so that they can address it and hear whatever you want to share that you feel highlights why you belong at an academy. Also, be sure to dress to impress. You want to make sure that you look well for the presentation so that they can see that you're taking this seriously. Along with that, show up early. For the Senate side, they will be virtual interviews. Um, on the House side, there might be some that will be in person. Either way, be sure you show up early so that you're prepared and ready to start the interview as soon as it begins. Now, the review board for each office is going to consist of individuals that are leaders in the community. They are current or former military. They have attended a military academy. They are the parents of a person that's gone to an academy. They're folks that know the process. And during this interview, they're going to be looking at your academics, your extracurricular activities, your grit, your personal motivation and character, your self-assurance and poise, and your commitment to military service. Usually these panels will consist of at least three individuals, and they will be reviewing your applications, your essays, your letters of recommendation, and all the information that you provide to determine what they want to ask of you to get to know you better. So, along with applying with our congressional offices, you also need to apply with the academy you are interested in attending. This is very important. If you receive a congressional nomination, that does not guarantee you admittance to an academy. You still have to apply with them. We have had situations where we're ready to submit a nomination for a student, and then we find out they've never applied with the school. So then we're unable to nominate you. So please be sure you take those steps to set up your applications with those prospective schools. Along with applying on the academy side, you'll be required to provide a medical exam and also a fitness exam. So in terms of how many folks we can nominate, the congressional delegation does a competitive process. That means we will take our 15 top candidates because for each academy where we have an opening, we can submit at least 15 candidates unranked. We will send those 15 candidates that we feel deserve a nomination to the academies, and they will select the most qualified to appoint to the member's office. The remaining 14 that are not charged to the congressional office will then be put in a national pool. Those students still have a very good chance of getting offers. Last year alone, I had a handful of students who fell into the national pool, but still got offers. So if you are not the one charged for the congressional office, do not lose hope. There is still a chance to get in. So some dates to keep in mind, this process opened up on April 11th. You have until October 4th to submit your applications. Again, that is a hard deadline. We will not make any exceptions. So please be sure you get everything submitted in a timely fashion. For those of you that submit everything on time, you will be guaranteed an appointment for an interview on November 8th on the Senate side, on November 1st for Representative Stansberry's office, and November 15th for Representative Vasquez and for Representative Ledger Fernandez. On the Senate side, Senator Lujan and Senator Heinrich's offices work together to make sure we don't have any conflicting times with your interviews, and so that your interviews are also spaced accordingly, so you're not having to do one interview after the other. Now, if you are representing your school at a state event during that date, please let us know well in advance that you have a competition so that we can try to accommodate you as best as possible to either get you an early interview or a later interview. But the only way we can do that is if you give us a heads up. So please keep that in mind. Once we review all of our applicants and the members decide who they're going to nominate, we will make that information available sometime mid-December. But if you are just curious, always feel free to give our offices a call to see where we're at with those nominations, and we'll be happy to let you know. Here's a listing of each congressional office and who is charged with overseeing their academy process. Again, for Senator Heinrich is myself, Miguel Negrete. With Senator Lujan's office is Angelo Champion. With Representative Stansberry, you've got Dylan Bonner. With Representative Vasquez, you've got Odell Maxwell. And with Representative Ledger Fernandez, you've got Carlos Sanchez. Please visit each prospective website to get information on the Academy nomination process and on the Senate site to create your profiles. With that, I'm now going to hand it over to Second Lieutenant Heim for the Air Force Academy.
Good evening. Can everybody hear me? Perfect. I'm Second Lieutenant Heim. I am a class of 2025 grad from the Air Force Academy. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about what our Air Force Academy does and then how exactly you can go about getting there. So our mission here at the Air Force Academy is to forge leaders of character motivated to a lifetime of service and to develop leaders for our Air and Space Force as we fight and win our nation's wars. And that mission and vision is driven by our superintendent, who you can see on our next slide. here, Lieutenant General Tony Bauernfeind, he drives our mission and vision at the Academy. You'll see some equivalents there to our civilian institutions with our Dean of Faculty, Colonel Hasted, and our Director of Athletics, Mr. Pine. And then on there, on the bottom left, you can see our Brigadier General Gavin Marks, our Commandant of Cadets, who is in charge of all military training. So our superintendent's priorities are to develop warfighters to win, leaders of quality and character, and critical thinkers to adapt. And the way that we do that, slide please, is through what we call the whole person concept. So that's developing these characteristics of character, leadership, and honor through military training, academic rigor, and athletic performance. Slide please. So what you can expect in terms of military performance and training, the very first thing you will do upon appointment to the United States Air Force Academy is basic cadet training. So this is the training where you're going to learn things like uniform standards, how to make your bed, and do really cool things like getting gas or going through our assault course. Slide, please. We also have a lot of professional military development that will continue after basic training. So up there on the left, you can see our noon meal formation, where we march both to lunch and breakfast. Up there on the top right, you can see our Saturday AM inspections, our SAMIs. So those are your white glove inspections, where you're going to get some really cool opportunities to be graded on what you learned at basic training. And then there in the bottom column, you can see some photos where the Academy will bring in some really cool people like astronauts or aircrew to be able to have those really cool conversations about developing yourself as a leader. So what can you expect in terms of academic rigor? USAFA is the #2 public college in the nation with the #1 astronautical and aerospace program in the entire country. And then on top of that, we rank pretty high in a lot of engineering categories and do pretty well in our liberal arts college ranking as well. We offer 30 different majors and 21 different minors. Here we like to point out that there's a little bit of something for everybody, whether you're an engineer, really STEMmy, or focus more on things like humanities or social sciences. USAFA also is the only kind of college in the nation that offers a quantum technologies minor. Slide, please. We also have some pretty cool world-class facilities with dedicated faculty. So we offer an 8-to-1 student to teacher ratio at USAFA, which is pretty unheard of when you start to get to the college spheres. We also have a biolab with 2 human cadavers yearly and a world-class wind tunnel that we host at our aero facilities. What can you expect in terms of athletic performance? So at USAFA, we host 27 different intercollegiate teams. So these are our D1 teams. If you want to learn more about them or get in contact with a coach, use that link, Go Air Force Falcons, there at the bottom. We host over 100 different clubs to include some athletic club sports. So you can see anything from women's softball to one of my personal favorites, Falcon CrossFit. And what's really cool about our clubs is that all of them are led and run by cadets. So these are some more of our clubs, and you can see here that we include some more past athletics like our honor guard or our in the stairwell, which is an a cappella group. And then if club sports or D1 aren't exactly for you, we host some really cool things we call squadron intramurals. So you get the chance to do a wing-wide tournament in both the fall and the spring to be able to compete with your peers and the people in your squad for top ranking in a sport. In terms of physical testing, the Academy hosts 2 different physical tests. We have our physical fitness test, which is going to be your sit-ups, your pull-ups, your push-ups, and then your sprint. And then our aerobic fitness test is a 1.5-mile endurance focus test. And then more opportunities that USAFA hosts outside of just military and some of our other cool summer programs are some of our exchange programs and our immersion programs. So at USAFA, you have the opportunity to do semester exchanges with both fellow service academies, ROTC detachments across the US, and even some of our partnered ally nations like the French Air Force Academy. Our language and cultural immersion focus on allowing students to go and live in some of these other cultures and hone some of their language skills. And Ops, Air and Space Force and our summer research are just more opportunities that we give to cadets to go out into the world and to continue to develop those professional skills, anything from working in the White House to understanding how an operational fighter wing works. And then USAFA itself on campus hosts some pretty cool summer engagements as well. Our survival and evasion program, you learn some pretty important skills for deployed environments, like what not to eat, how to treat field casualty wounds, those kind of things. And then our cadre courses really focus on how to develop, turning you from a follower into a leader by leading other cadets and incoming basics. And then we really like this slide right here because these are what we call our airmanship programs. And airmanship is really specific to USAFA, and they host some pretty cool opportunities. So our Wings of Blue is our world-class demonstration and competition jump program. And over the summer, they will host a parachuting class. And it is the only facility and training class in the entire world where your very first jump out of an airplane will be completely solo. Our powered flight, so our engine flying and our non-engine flying with our soaring programs, host two of the biggest training fleets for our powered and our non-powered aircrafts in the entire Air Force. And then our cyber and space airmanship programs are some really cool developing year to year that host some really cool opportunities like a fully functional satellite that is run and operated solely by cadets. So in terms of graduation, what does career look like? Half of a class will go on to attend pilot training. And if you compare that to some of the other commissioning sources for aviation in the Air Force, 50% of a class is a really good statistic for getting into pilot training if flying is what you want to do. And then we also like to point out here that 10% of our class will commission into the Space Force, but that 10% will actually end up making up about 80 to 90% of the entire officer corps of the Space Force. So here are all of the rest of the 40 different options that we have with different commitment times and degree requirements, but they have a little bit of something from everything. Now, if we haven't convinced you yet, this is the obligatory academy slide that you'll see is similar with our service sister service academies. We are a no tuition school, no room and board with full medical and dental coverage for all of our cadets with a monthly cadet pay stipend, a guaranteed career upon graduation, and a really low interest career starter loan for our grads. And so this is what it looks like in what you need to do to be able to be competitive for the Air Force Academy application process. So this is what our academically competitive range looks. So our 3.9 for average GPA, and then that is our 50% middle range for SAT, ACT. So we have some lower than that, some higher than that, everywhere in between. And we also like to mention that USAFA will also super score. So like mentioned earlier, we take your highest score from each category across all of your test attempts. You also need to be physically and medically qualified. So that's completing your medical review board and your cadet fitness assessment. For my females that are interested in applying, we like to note that it is better on your application to get one pull-up than it is to max out that flexed arm hang option that you have. So in terms of what we look for in character and leadership, USAFA likes quality over quantity. So instead of looking for being a member in 20 different clubs, we like to see that you have started your own progression in terms of professional and personal development. And so maybe you took on a harder role some of the years. Maybe you were a chapter president in your local 4-H club, things like that. And then we've already mentioned nominations. Mr. Magrete was very detailed with that. And so this is what our application pool looks like year to year. We start with around 10,000 and we get to about 1,100 accepted appointments. So here's where I like to mention our preparatory school opportunities. We have 5 different prep schools across the country. That Husky one on your left, that is on campus at USAFA, and the other 4 are across the US. It's important to note that you cannot directly apply for a preparatory school slot. So you apply for general academy admissions, and if the admissions team decides that you show some really promising efforts in terms of future officership, but maybe aren't quite there on athletics or academics, USAFA will possibly select you for a preparatory school slot. So that will come from admissions and not direct application to our prep schools. And that is all I have in terms of the Air Force Academy. That is my contact there on the right in the QR code and our general admissions contact there on the left. Thank you everybody so much for listening.
Next, we have Major Vasquez.
Good evening, everybody. I am Major Vicente Vasquez. I'm here specifically at UNM's Air Force ROTC, but can speak to Air Force ROTC in general. I'm joined by my boss, Lieutenant Colonel Lacey. Slide, please. All right, so big picture, we're going to go over what Air Force ROTC is. I'll talk briefly on differences between USAFA and ROTC. I was a USAFA grad. I'm now teaching at ROTC, so got a little bit of a foot in both worlds. We'll also discuss the requirements, benefits, scholarships, and the structure of the program. Slide, please. So overall, the differences, what sets us apart from USAFA and the other service academies. Our students are full-time college students at civilian institutions. So most of the week, our students are full-time here at the University of New Mexico, and that goes for any ROTC branch, right? Full-time students who do ROTC as a class, but it's less of a time commitment versus the service academies. There is a lower initial entry, lower initial barrier to entry, right? To join our program, we have very minimal requirements to join. However, we do apply that same filter just a little bit later on in terms of the physical fitness, the Department of Defense Medical Review Board, the Air Force Officer Qualifying Test. All of those happen after being already a part of our program. We don't apply that filter right at the beginning. We cast a broader net than the service academies, and then we filter down from there. But ultimately, the goal of ROTC is the same as it is at service academies, right? We commission officers. ROTC also commissions folks into the Space Force, as well as the Air Force, just as the Air Force Academy does. And then I'd like to show off the beautiful mountains. I know there are beautiful mountains in Colorado Springs, but we've got our own as well. Slide, please. All right, so the requirements. We do require our students to be full-time students. We define that as 12 credit hours. Many of our students choose to take more. Many of our students choose to take 15 credit hours because of the opportunity and lottery scholarships that New Mexico offers for graduates of a New Mexico high school. So by taking those 15, they maintain eligibility for those classes. Technically, we only require the 12, and our classes do count towards that 12. So that's beneficial for folks coming in with a lot of college credit who are kind of trying to spread out the years so they hit a full 4 years here at the University of New Mexico. However, we also have crosstown agreements with Central New Mexico for folks who want to start out at community college prior to transferring here to the University of New Mexico, as well as New Mexico Tech. We currently have 2 students down at Socoto who drive up once a week to attend our leadership laboratory. We do require a 2.0 GPA cumulative. We do require that cadets pass the fitness test. It's a little bit different than the USAFA fitness test. It more reflects the active duty fitness test. So 1 minute of push-ups, 1 minute of sit-ups, and then a 1.5-mile run. So a little bit of a difference there. And then, as I mentioned previously, the Air Force Officer Qualifying Test, as well as the Department of Defense Medical Evaluation Review Board. Similar to the academies, initially joining, no military obligation. However, once we award what we call an enrollment allocation. That generally happens spring semester of sophomore year. Then our cadets do contract, and then they have the same commitments as previously discussed. Slide, please. All right, a couple of benefits. So we do, once we have students on scholarship, give them a monthly stipend. That's roughly $300 to $500, depending on the level of cadet that they are. There is a $900 book allowance, and then these are kind of some of the special opportunities that we have. Some of them are going to be very similar to USAPA, right? We do not have a local flying team. We don't have a powered flight here at UNM. However, Air Force ROTC does have the You Can Fly program. Essentially, we provide a certain amount of money to a limited number of our cadets to go to a civilian FBO somewhere in town and gain early training on civilian pilot instruction, essentially. Some of those can include all the way up to a private pilot's license. We do have some internship programs. Locally, University of New Mexico has a good working relationship with AFOTEC, the Air Force Operation Test Evaluation Center. Here on base, several of our cadets work over there, as well as Sandia Labs. We had somebody working at Los Alamos as well. They have since commissioned and moved on. They're now in CISO training, but we do have a good working relationship with the base being right here, with labs being right here. We try to foster those to the best of our ability. Project Go, that's Project General Officer. We just sent a cadet this summer to Tanzania and Kenya to learn Swahili. He previously had been studying Japanese. Last year, we had one of our senior cadets who just commissioned, spent a semester abroad in Tokyo. So we do have those international travel opportunities, both through Air Force ROTC and through the University of New Mexico. And then travel opportunities, this picture here, now Lieutenant Goodman, but at the time Cadet Goodman, spent a summer up at the Air Force Academy doing, what's the name of it? The Space Force program, ASMIS, apologies, ASMIS, which is a requirement for all Space Force officers. So for both the Air Force Academy and any ROTC branch is required to send all future Guardians to ASMIS at some point. Another benefit specific to Air Force ROTC, as I kind of alluded to earlier, it is a normal college life. Our cadets are not living, breathing Air Force 24/7. They are largely generic college students who just happen to do the Air Force learning while they are here. All right. I'll talk a little bit later on what exactly that consists of. But many of our students choose to live in the dorms. Many of our students choose to live on their own back at home, or in an apartment with friends somewhere on the local economy. We also participate in a lot of honor guard events and a lot of volunteer events. Slide, please. All right, scholarships, a little bit up in the air on some of the recent changes, but currently not every cadet, but many cadets are offered a Type 1 or Type 2 scholarship here at the University of New Mexico. Type 2 being up to $18,000 a year, that covers full tuition at University of New Mexico. Type 1 also covers full tuition and fees. The CMLA, Charles McGee Leadership Award, is awarded to all contract cadets who meet requirements. There is a rumor that that is changing. It will still exist, but will be offered to at least 50%. So more to follow on that one. But it is currently awarded to all contracted cadets. And they may be converted to pay for housing. So again, I mentioned the opportunity in the lottery scholarship, which many of our local students are awarded. That covers tuition. They convert our scholarship to cover housing. And yes, it maxes out at 10 grand a year. However, that covers the housing here at the University of New Mexico. So by combining state scholarships with Air Force ROTC scholarships, many of our students are essentially on a full ride. Now, I know I mentioned a 2.0 previously, that is to be in the program. For a lot of these competitive things, such as scholarships, we're looking at that 2.5, as well as maintaining full-time student status. Slide, please. All right. Overall, we're structured, we don't front load like the academy does with basic cadet training. Initially, we bring in, because as I said, we're trying to cast that broader net. We bring in all kinds. We classify them as general military course cadets or GMC cadets. They're training, they're learning the basics, how to wear the uniform, what the rank structure is, how to march, all the same basic stuff that is taught at the front end of academy basic training. After that, after their sophomore year, assuming they get picked up, meet all the requirements that I previously mentioned, they attend field training. Currently 17 days, plus or minus a few days, it changes on the year, but currently 17 days, that's between sophomore and junior year. That's in Maxwell, out at Montgomery, Alabama. Upon successful completion of that, they return and they are professional officer course cadets. Still receiving training, a little bit more hands-on for me at that point, but I expect our POC cadets to do the training for the GMC. So I assign them jobs. I expect them to start practicing that leadership. And it is a much smaller school than the academy. Any of the ROTC branches are, any of the ROTC departments are. So it's a different flavor, right? We don't have the same resources as USAFA, but I get to know all of the cadets at a much more personal level than my AOCs at the academy did when I was going through. Not saying one is better than the other, but they are different flavors, and you should know which one you're signing up for. So I really focus on preparing my juniors and seniors for active duty, and I really have them lead the way to the max extent possible. I try to minimize any training I provide directly to the GMC because I want my juniors and seniors to be those leaders. Slide, please. All right, what our program consists of. So there are 3 classes, one of which is PT. Locally at the University of New Mexico, that is 3 hours a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, from 06:30 to 07:30. We also have our Air Force and Aeronautical Studies class that is 1 to 2 times a week, between an hour and 2.5 hours per week, excuse me, depending on if it's the GMC or the POC level. These are just classes in leadership, right? Very small classes. I'm currently teaching 400 course. There are 10 students in my class. So very individualized training on leadership. And we do have virtual options available, particularly for our New Mexico Tech students. And then we also have our leadership laboratory. That's 2 hours a week, every Wednesday. And that's practical applications of the kind of stuff that we talk about in our leadership course. Yes, total of 7 hours per week in Air Force ROTC. However, I did mention that I try to put a lot of the leadership practice to our juniors and seniors. So my current cadet wing commander, Cadet Martin, he interacts with me much more than 7 hours a week, but that is because he is leading the wing. During the summer, very minimal opportunities. Some of the leadership roles, our cadet recruiting officer is very active during the summer, very active, maybe 2 to 3 hours a week, but much more active than our other cadets. But largely during the summer, I expect my students to be out in the world experiencing summer. Honestly, many of my students choose to get a job during the summer, save up some money. Slide, please. All right, so this is a summary of what we talked about. Is there anything additional? No. All right, thank you for your time. We'll stick around and monitor the chat, answer any questions that I may have missed. I apologize. I will be followed by Lieutenant Colonel Gallup speaking about West Point. Sir.
Hey, good evening, everyone. My name's Lieutenant Colonel retired Jim Gallup. I graduated from West Point long time ago in 1988. And I just before I start, I want to just poke at we love our other academy grads, but talking about astronauts, we've had 2 astronauts walk on the moon from West Point. I think we've got about 21 astronauts. We don't have the same numbers as Air Force Academy, but the commander at White Sands Missile Range, Colonel Andrew Morgan. He's a Soyuz, one of the Soviet Soyuz astronaut. One of my close friends, Shane Kimbrough, you can look him up. He flew an STS shuttle mission a couple years ago before they shut the shuttle mission down. So go Army, beat Air Force. It's a football thing. Slide. Next slide. So West Point, just like the other academies, 4 years. There you go. So covers academic, physical, and military. And the bottom part of that slide shows character. The motto of West Point, and oh, by the way, West Point is the oldest military academy. It was established by Thomas Jefferson in 1802. But the motto is duty, honor, country. So character, cadets will not lie, cheat, nor steal, nor tolerate those who do. It's character because at the end of the day, when you graduate from West Point, you're committed to 5 years of active duty service in the United States Army, where you'll be leading soldiers, taking care of them, coaching them, mentoring them, and you'll have their very lives in your hands. So it's a very, very important distinction about when you graduate, whether you're an Air Force Academy, a Naval Academy grad, or ROTC. When you're made a second lieutenant, you are responsible for the lives of American soldiers. We take that very seriously, and as well as the other academies. Another key point that we've got a lot of smart folks out there, but physical fitness, when you're carrying a rucksack or when you're spending the late nights doing stuff out in the field, physical fitness is very important to us. Just as an introduction. Slide, please. Next slide. Kind of talked about 1802. Back one, please. Okay, I'll just wing it. So this is kind of a day in the life of a cadet. 5 o'clock in the morning, you're up. Freshman year, there you go. 16,000 acre campus. We're about an hour north of New York City. As a cadet, I went to a baseball game in the original Yankee Stadium. So you're literally 50 miles an hour from the biggest city in the country. Lot to do, lots of things to do in New York. It's a beautiful place. And I've been to every academy. When you go there and for the younger folks who are just starting out on this process, there's an opportunity it's called Summer Leader Experience. We get to nominate candidates to attend that for a week. You get to go live with cadets. It's a beautiful campus. If you ever get to visit it, you'll fall in love with it. Just because it's historically it's a gem of America, and we take it just its history very proudly. Next slide, please. So here's and this is important, the top slide here, 7-to-1 student to faculty ratio. So I came from a small town. We didn't even have calculus in my small town, and so when you get when you get into a position where you're loaded with 22 credit hours per semester or per year, it's mind numbing. And the fact that they've got a 7-to-1 student faculty ratio is a big deal because you've got a military. Uh, Primarily, it's an Army officer, a major, some captains, lieutenant colonels who are your professors, and nothing against civilian colleges, but those military officers, just like the ROTC folks that you're hearing from tonight, they take your education very seriously, and they will take uh, go an extra mile for you. If you need help, they've got all kinds of programs to keep you academically up to speed. And just a side note about to follow on what Air Force Academy rep said. What the lieutenant said. We've got our own. If academically West Point thinks that you can get into the academy, but you might have some academic shortfalls, we have um, a prep school on campus that you spend a year primarily preparing yourself academically for 4 years of what you're looking at here, the rigor of 4 years of a lot of academics. And it's the same at the Air Force Academy and the Naval Academy. It's a lot of homework, and you can see back to that schedule. You're up until 10, 11 o'clock at night, every night doing homework, getting ready. So it's very rigorous. And I'm not trying to scare anybody away, but you're gonna come out of there with one of the best educations that you could ever find in America, as well as the Air Force Academy and the Naval Academy. Um, Next slide, please. All of this. And if you've got cyber seems to be a big deal, but you've got a great volume of choices to become an engine, whatever you want to do, primarily engineering. STEM is a big deal. Same as the other academies. We're trying to produce officers who can think systems and understand systems because we're dealing with a lot of programs. Think about flying a jet, and we don't have jets. We have a lot of helicopters, but think about flying a helicopter and understanding you have to understand how that system works. So that education will prepare you to think through whatever system, whether it's a tank, a Bradley fighting vehicle, an artillery piece, how that thing works and operates. So you can be a better leader. Slide, please. Sports, if you're these are the NCAA Division One. Football's a big deal at West Point. Come the first weekend of December, we play the Naval Academy. If you get a chance to watch it, it's televised every year. It's a big deal, and we travel back and forth between the Air Force Academy. So football is a big deal, but you've got the opportunity for NCAA sports, and if you're recruited, that's a whole kind of a separate program. If you're recruited, and I would advise that you reach directly. You can contact the coaches from the webpage if you think you're NCAA material, and they will reach out to you. And they've got their own separate program. But aside from NCAA sports, there are sports that you can do, intramural sports that are pretty much the same as this. If you're not and you will be voluntold to be in a sport program in the afternoons after class to keep you physically fit and prepare you to become a lieutenant. Slide, please. These are the clubs, and so these are club sports separate from intramural. So if you want to just join a club, you can box, climbing. There's one in there somewhere. We've got a skydiving club. I don't know if it's on here, but if you want to skydive There are some cadets that have got hundreds of jumps, skydiving, free helicopter ride and free fall skydiving. So I'm going to throw that out as a potential if folks want to do that. Um, I'm gonna kind of go back to so being physically fit, you can tell that being an Army officer and physical fitness is a big deal. And for the ones, and we have folks that have applied here, and I covered New Mexico District 2 and 3. We've got just for those two districts, we've had about statistically about 50 candidates apply, and you can start your junior year. February of your junior year is when the portal to start putting applications occurs. And if you're a freshman right now, it's okay. Get onto that web page, or if you're a sophomore, get onto that web page. Start understanding the paperwork requirements that you're going to do. And back to what the good senator's rep was talking about, there's a lot of paperwork, and I would also advise that every time I do an interview for a candidate, when West Point calls me and they say we've got a sharp young cadet candidate, we need to do an interview. I advise those candidates, and this is in their junior year. I advise them all to apply for every academy, and I advise them to apply for every ROTC program in this state as a contingency plan. Back in 1980, I was a freshman in high school. We didn't have the internet. I had to order catalogs and send letters back and forth. But I applied for every academy and got a call from West Point. I really wanted to fly. If you want to be honest, I really wanted to fly jets, but I became an infantry officer, and that's okay. But my advice is to apply for every academy because one of them, if you're good enough, one of them is going to call. Multiple ones might call, and you might get an opportunity to choose between being a naval surface officer, a submariner, somebody flying a F-35 or an F-22, or an Air Force officer. So my advice to you is apply for every academy. It's a lot of paperwork, but do it. Slide, please. Cadet clubs, lot to do. Again, 50 miles north of New York City. There's a picture of a young lady who's on our jump team. Probably has a lot of free fall jumps on her plate. And if you're musically, we've got one of the best chorus bands. Our glee club is fabulous. They get to go to New York City and perform in the city. They go to Philadelphia. Some of the best music performers that we have. Picture some folks doing some judo, wrestling, or whatever. But there's a lot to do on the side when you're not studying to pass your differential equations test, and it's a great opportunity. Slide, please. Next slide. Thanks. So for your experience, your first summer, we call it Beast Barracks because it's a beast. The first 6 weeks, your your head is shaved and you become a plebe. For the first year, you're what's called a plebe, which is really a freshman. But that first summer, you're basically learning Army skills. You're living in barracks. There's about a week-long field exercise. You go on a ruck march, but it's a fun time. And it's a time where you realize that you're in this thing for good. And my memories of basic training from 1984 were probably considered one of the best summers of my life, even though it was probably also one of the most stressful for a young 18-year-old. The second summer, you get to go to CFT. You spend 4 weeks out in the woods. The Army will bring real military units there, and you'll get to interact with real soldiers, active duty soldiers, and understand what they do and the systems that they use. You go on helicopter rides and um, be able to interact with artillery officers and sergeants and privates, tanks, Bradleys, every system we have. Your third and fourth summers where you have a lot of choices, and you can go to military schools while you're there, actual Army schools. You can go to airborne school. Um, you can go to air assault school in those various locations in Georgia, wherever those schools are for the summer. So, and I don't want to tell you, you've also got, by the way, there's time off where you can go home. You get to go home basically twice a year. Over Christmas, you'll get about a 2 week break, and don't quote me on that. You get about a 2 week break to fly home for Christmas, and then in the summer, you'll get about another 2 week break to go home. So you get to go home and see your family. These are the branches. So when you're a senior, when you're what's called a firstie or a senior, you get to choose what branch of the Army you based upon your ranking, and your ranking is based upon GPA and your what we call a whole cadet score based upon physical fitness and a whole bunch of factors. But you can choose based upon your GPA and your physical fitness if you want to be a infantry or a pilot, if you can pass the flight aptitude test, if you want to be a pilot. And we've got some really cool, if anybody's seen uh, uh, an Apache helicopter, it's a death defying machine. So you get to choose those. And then here's the deadlines. January 31st of this coming year is when the incoming class, they will walk into West Point after they get accepted. They will come in June, early June, but January 31st is the deadline. And just to remind you, the portal will open in February of your junior year. Again, repeating what the rep said, and so just want to you can reach out to me, but you can get to me through that web page there. And we've got 4 field force reps in this state that will help you get through the paperwork. I will be followed by Colonel William Cunningham, your NMSU Lobo PMS. Thanks for your time.
Hey, Mr. Gallup, thank you very much. And Mr. Negrete, thank you for putting this on. To all those that are out there on the web, thank you for taking the time out of your evening. I'm sure there's a whole lot of other things that you'd rather be doing on a Thursday evening, but you're here, which is awesome. It speaks a lot to you and your interest in the military. And so thank you from the bottom of my heart for continuing to do that. So a little bit about us. I am Lieutenant Colonel Will Cunningham. I'm the Professor of Military Science for the Army ROTC program. What does that mean? I run the Army ROTC program for the University of New Mexico. We have about 55 or so cadets of those, and then plus about 8 to 10, depending on the year, cadre. So just like the academies, we have a very low ratio, at least under 10 to 1 for faculty to cadets. About 80% of our contracted cadets, so in their second or their third or fourth year, have some form of a scholarship from the Army, whether it's a 2, 3, or a 4-year scholarship. And we'll talk a little bit more about the scholarship process. Just like the West Point, we do have a ton of options when it comes to what you can do in the Army. There are 16 basic branches, plus we still have the opportunity to become a chaplain, lawyer, medical doctor, pharmacist, audiologist, you name it. The other thing that's incredibly unique to the Army ROTC, and this is not just unique to UNM, but across the board, is we can actually commission officers into all 3 components of the military. That is active duty, National Guard, and the U.S. Army Reserves. We have a fantastic relationship with the New Mexico Army National Guard, conduct a lot of training with them as well as at their facilities. So a lot of hands-on experience and a lot of relationship building and mentorship that the Guard provides to our young cadets. So if you would go to the next slide, please. I don't have to sell a whole lot of you guys on Albuquerque because a lot of you are already from the New Mexico area. But just think about all the goodness that you are enjoying right now as you're applying to all those New England schools and what a New England winter looks like. For those of you that haven't been up there, compare that to a nice New Mexico weather, the great mountains that we have here, the 300+ sunny days a year, balloon fiesta, and all the other great things that you have here in New Mexico. Next slide, please. So let's talk about why UNM. UNM has a ton of bachelor's degrees. I can also accept graduate degrees as well as doctorate degree students. So across the entire spectrum, there's no age limit other than 42 by the time you commission. But there's a ton of bachelor's degrees. We are the #1 school in the state when it comes to nuclear engineering, general engineering, and nursing. Currently have 6 nursing cadets out of 55 cadets total. So we have a very strong relationship with the College of Nursing here, We meet with them twice a year to discuss how our cadets are doing, and they have additional training that they have the opportunity to compete for during those summer months. And as we mentioned, and as Air Force mentioned earlier, UNM takes care of its cadets and midshipmen. They offer up to $3,200 plus or minus every semester for housing scholarships. For those of you that are out of state or paying out of state tuition, that they can be, the entire housing is waived if they do live here on the dorms. And that's not only, and that's just on the housing side, not even talking the Army specific scholarships. Next slide. So what are some of the summer opportunities? Instead of listing all the summer opportunities, I'm going to list some of the opportunities that our cadets have specifically gone to. Every year, we send about 10 to 12 cadets to some form of summer training that is not required. That includes air assault and airborne. Just this year, we had 4 cadets that successfully completed air assault school. That is rappelling out of helicopters, sling loading things under helicopters. 2 years ago, we had 1 cadet that went to airborne school. We've had the opportunity every year for a cadet to go to Fort Bragg, North Carolina, and be the opposing forces for the special forces as they go through their qualification course. And that's what that Robin Sage, Robin Eagle training is. We've had a cadet been able to go to the space cadre course, learn how the Army operates in the space domain, because we are a huge player in the space domain. We have an entire space brigade, as well as down to the lowest platoon of regardless of what your branch is, we interact with that space domain. We've had 8 cadets this year go across the world, having basically on-the-job training and shadowing of second lieutenants as they look to see what they are doing and what they will be doing here. We had a cadet that was originally from Korea, got to return to Korea and be with the units that are stationed there in Korea. Last year, we sent a cadet to Germany to be with 2CR in Germany, as well as throughout the continental United States. And we also have the opportunity for internships. Last year, we sent a cadet to Illinois to work with a broadcasting organization there. She's now on track to become a public affairs officer in the Arizona Army National Guard. We've had 1 cadet that's now a lieutenant here in New Mexico go to Fort Drum, New York to become to work with their cultural protective unit, how the Army interfaces with American Indian tribes that are in our areas, as well as protect the cultural sites of the areas in which we operate and train. This summer, we just had a cadet come back from EUCOM, European Command in Germany. I think she spent just as much time traveling to Spain, Italy, Switzerland, the Czech Republic, and throughout Germany as she did sitting in on meetings with general officers, learning about what is going on in the European area of operations. And some things that also exist that we haven't sent cadets to recently, but can't compete for is Mountain Warfare School, Combat Dive Course down in Key West, Florida, Master Fitness Trainer, the Search, Evasion, Resistance, and Escape course, or SEER course, as well as Sapper Leader course to learn how to go blow stuff up and persist through tough times. So if you would go to the next slide, please. We talked about the Army's opportunities and Army ROTC general opportunities. Why UNM and what are some of the unique opportunities here at UNM? These are some of the things that our cadets have done here in the last year that make our program unique. Here in about 5 weeks, we're going to send 6 cadets as well as 2 of our cadre members to Washington, D.C. for 5 days. In addition to go see the Capitol building and hopefully the FBI headquarters, they're going to go run the Army 10-miler and compete against 63 other ROTC programs. Every March, we do the Bataan Memorial Death March to learn more about the history of New Mexico and its ties to the Philippines in World War II, but also to honor the memories of those that have taken place in it. Great event. Last year, we had up to 30 cadets that do it. Every summer or every spring, our seniors go through a military decision-making process where they look at a historical battle. They're assigned a position in that battle. They dig into the decision-making that general officer made on how they echelon their forces. And then we go look at that actual battlefield. Last year, we took them to Antietam, spent 5 days again in Washington, D.C., talked to the D.C. Army National Guard, learned how they do business, and then spent all day at the Antietam battlefield talking about the cornrows and how the different decisions were made that ultimately led to a Union victory, a Pyrrhic victory. We've sent cadets to Wisconsin every February to compete in Northern Warfare Challenge against other ROTC programs. We host our own Norwegian foot march here, so it's also open to the public. So if you're interested and still in high school, We'd love to come and have you walk 18.6 miles with us come February. And then we compete in Ranger Challenge every year against the other schools in Arizona, New Mexico, and West Texas. This year, again, we are hosting it up at the Santa Fe Armory, again, showing that great relationship that we have with the New Mexico National Guard. And next slide. All right, so I'd like you to learn more about us. You can scan that QR code there. It takes you to our link tree. You can learn all about our social medias. Because I'm not a great spokesman for our program, I would argue my cadets are the greatest spokesman for our program. So I want you to see what they're doing and how they're taking place in those sorts of things. So follow us on any social medias. We have a great mentorship program that Lieutenant Atterbury here runs that has podcasts on both YouTube and Spotify, where we connect our cadets with recent graduates to see what their life is like. As well as more long-term graduates to see what other opportunities exist in the Army. And then next slide, please. And then the last two things I want to leave you with is one, on October 2nd, we are hosting a shadow day here at the Army ROTC program. So if you're anywhere in the Albuquerque region, hit us up through those social media portals. We'd love to host you for the day. You can come and work out with us in the morning. We'll shadow a cadet through PT. We'll talk lab, we'll talk scholarships. And you get to see what life is like, not only on campus, but also as an ROTC cadet. And then last thing, it is National Scholarship Season for those of you that are in the senior year. I am the closest for about 5 hours for our PMSs, for professors of military science, for you to do your PMS interview. I will happily sit down and talk to you, even if you don't even want to go to UNM, right? I fully believe that face-to-face interactions are the best form of interactions. And what we've seen is that face-to-face interviews score higher than virtual interviews. And so probably more beneficial to you if you're applying to that national scholarship to come see me. I won't grade you any differently if you want to go to Cornell, West Point, doesn't matter. We're a great backup for those of you that are applying to those military academies, because we're right here, we're local, and you can see us all day long. And if you can't see in the table, we've got some great swag in here. We did open it up to your guidance counselors for an in-person event. We got one that made it here, which is great. But guess what? If you guys are in the Albuquerque area, you come October 2nd, the swag hopefully will still be here. It's all yours if you want to come grab it. So thank you very much. I'll stand by for any questions in the chat, and have a great day.
All right, thank you, sir. Good evening, everybody. My name is Ensign Sam Curley. I am just graduated from the Naval Academy in May of this year, class of 2025. I'm originally from Boise, Idaho, so definitely a long ways away. I service selected Navy pilot, so come November, I will go down to Pensacola, Florida, where I'll spend the next couple years going through flight school. Next slide, please. So today, my job is to give you guys a deeper dive into kind of what the Naval Academy has to offer and how we're different from the other schools. So from a broad view, here's shown just some distinguished areas about the Naval Academy. First, academically, we are the #1 public school in the nation. If you're into engineering, we have the 5th best undergraduate engineering program as well. I was a naval architecture and marine engineering major while I was at the academy, so I can attest to the quality of professors we have, as well as the quality academic facilities. If engineering is not your thing, we also have the 4th best liberal arts college as well. And we also have the 3rd highest paid graduates upon their mid-career. So that's also a big plus. Next slide, please. So if you're unfamiliar, we're located in Annapolis, Maryland. It's all the way on the East Coast, in between Washington, D.C. and Baltimore. The town itself, Annapolis, is the capital of Maryland. It predates the founding of our country, so there's a ton of history there and in the surrounding areas if that's something you're interested in. And the town is within just steps from the yard. So on the weekends or whenever you have any time off, you can take a walk down into downtown Annapolis, and there's tons of great places to eat. Shops all around there, lots of different things to do. We're also the sailing capital of the world too. So we're located right on the coast of the Severn River. So there's a lot of opportunities to get out on the water. If you're interested in sailing, you can learn how to sail. And like I said earlier, we are in between Washington, D.C. and Baltimore. So there's 3 major airports within close proximity to you for both yourself and your parents whenever they come to visit or whenever you want to go home. On the yard itself, we have a wide array of brigade services offered. They're all free and fully accessible for you to use. So in hindsight, you could theoretically spend the entire 4 years at the academy without ever leaving. We provide everything you need right there, though I've never heard of anybody doing that. I would not recommend it, but anything from medical, dental, optometry, physical therapy, anything like that is right there. All those facilities are within walking distance from the dorms and free for you to use. The academic center is a place where you can go to receive free tutoring from both other professors and midshipmen, other students, something that is not offered at a lot of different colleges. And also our Midshipman Development Center specializes in behavioral health. So if you need a therapist or a dietitian or something of that nature, we have those within an arm's reach away. Next slide, please. So in whole, we refer to as the entire student body as the brigade, and each individual student is called a midshipman. So we're not cadets, we're midshipmen. And the brigade of midshipmen is primarily 70% male, 30% female. Every year it gets a little bit closer to even, but we have students coming from all 50 states, all US territories, and several different foreign countries as well. At one time, we have about 4,500 students from all classes, and each individual class is about 1,100 students to 1,200 students. Next slide, please. And one benefit to the class sizes being fairly small is inside the academic setting. So you're never going to be sitting among 200 other students in some big lecture hall like you would at some other colleges. The most students you'll have in one class at the Naval Academy is 25. We also have a student faculty ratio of 8-1. So there's a lot of opportunities outside of class hours to receive extra instruction or private tutoring directly from the professor. I know during my time there, I had professors who came in on the yard in person at 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock at night to help me with a project or homework or study for a test or something like that. We have faculty both from the military side and the civilian side. It's about 50-50. So you have a lot of opportunities to, kind of experience and ask questions from people who had a lot of different backgrounds. Next slide, please. We have 25 available majors. We have 3 schools: engineering and weapons, math and science, humanities and social sciences. Also a lot of available language minors. It is possible for you to double major or even triple major. Most people just stick with one. I'd like to point out too that you don't pick your major until the end of your freshman year. So you have an entire year to talk to other students, talk to upper class, figure out what you're good at, figure out what you're not good at, so that by the end of your freshman year, you can make the decision, that best suits you. Next slide, please. Here's the core curriculum for the Naval Academy. So all the classes you see on the screen, every student will take regardless of your major. The classes at the top in gold are your military tailored classes. So you'll take leadership, navigation, law, ethics, those kinds of things. They're all taught by military professors. So this is kind of where you get the military side within your academic day. The classes in the middle in the dark blue are the STEM classes. So everybody's taking Calc 1, 2, and 3, Physics 1 and 2, Chemistry 1 and 2, regardless of your major. So again, if you're an English major or a political science major, you're still going to be taking all these classes, but you still graduate with a bachelor's of science, which is pretty cool. The classes at the bottom in the light blue is the social science classes and humanities. Next slide, please. So as you listen to all these, different institutions, and maybe you're on the fence of whether you want to go Air Force, Army, Navy, whatever it is, I would suggest to you that the 2 biggest things you should consider right now are the opportunities after you graduate and the location of where you want to be. So it looks different for everybody. All of these institutions are great places where you can do a lot of different cool things. But like I said, figure out what you might want to do after you graduate, and that might help you narrow down your choices. So at the Naval Academy, we have 5 kind of basic service assignments after you graduate. The first being surface warfare, the ships on top of the water; submarine warfare, Special warfare, if you want to be a Navy SEAL or a EOD officer. EOD is explosive ordnance disposal officer. So essentially you put on a bomb suit and defuse bombs before they go off. You can go Marine Corps. So you can go Marine aviation, Marine pilot, same thing, Marine ground, and Marine cyber. And then lastly is naval aviation. So there's two options here. There's the naval flight officer, which is the backseater, and then the Navy pilot. Like I said earlier, I serve as selected Navy pilot. So if you have any questions about kind of that pipeline, I'm happy to answer there. Next slide, please. Much like all the other academies, we offer basically any sport you can think of all competitiveness levels. The most competitive sports are our D1 varsity level sports. Next slide, please. Then we have our D3 club sports, which is not shown. And then we have our intramurals. The intramurals are fully internal to USNA, so you're not going to be competing against other schools. You're just going to be competing against your classmates. Next slide, please. Outside of athletics, we have over 100 different extracurriculars and clubs, ranging from all different kinds of things: academic service, religion, music. There's a lot of different things you can do. The list shown here on the screen is just a short list. There's tons of other ones, and there's also a way for you to start your own club if you don't see what you're interested in. Next slide, please. So here's shown is the kind of what you'll do during the summers in between your years. We split our summers up into 3 different months. We call them blocks, 2 of which are required to be filled with military training, and the other block is reserved for you to go on a vacation, go home. You can do some really cool internships. Us being located right by DC, a lot of my classmates interned with the FBI or the CIA or the NSA, a lot of different 3-letter agencies. And unfortunately, I don't have enough time to go through each summer training, but there's a ton of really cool opportunities there. Next slide, please. So much like all the other academies where everybody's on full scholarship, everything's covered, no out-of-pocket expenses. You'll get paid every month. So starting as a freshman, you'll get about $200, and then each year it increases. And everybody graduates with a Bachelor's of Science. So I mentioned that in the beginning. Even if you're an English major, you're still getting a Bachelor's of Science, and you'll commission as an officer into the Navy or the Marine Corps with a minimum of a 5-year service commitment. I will point out that the aviation side of things is a longer commitment. So for Navy pilot, it's 8 years plus your 2 years of flight school. So for me, I'm looking at about a 10-year service commitment as of now. Next slide, please. So I'm not going to go through the application. Listening to the other academies, everything is very similar. The nominations is the same across the board. The one thing I will point out, and you can go to the next slide, please. The one thing I will point out is that your SAT and ACT scores, we're the only service academy that will super score from each test. So if you have your highest math on your SAT or your highest reading on your ACT, we will take those 2 scores. Outside of that, I am out of time. So if you have any other questions that I did not get to, please put it in the chat. And next we have Senior Chief No, that's going to talk about the Navy ROTC program. Senior Chief, your mic is off.
I apologize. Yes, I am Senior Chief No. I appreciate that, Midshipman Brown, for letting me know. Just to introduce myself a little bit, I am the NROTC coordinator for Arizona, for New Mexico, and then the El Paso area that is involved in what makes up our actual command. With that said, I am located in Arizona. So much of what I will discuss with you, I'll make sure that if you do have any questions or you would like to sit down with somebody, there are local individuals that will definitely go over anything that you would like to address in regards to NROTC, okay? One of the things I did want to actually point out to you is just on my level, you'll see with everybody that's actually giving you the presentation today. I do want you to recognize that there is a difference in regards to commissioned officer, which is something going out for NROTC, these academies, you know, I'm trying to become an officer in any of the service branches, which, by the way, is huge for any of you guys. I'm super proud that you guys are even looking into the option, mainly because any decision towards the military is a good decision. Okay, so definitely pat yourself on the back. You know, any parents on the line, you know, be proud of those that you've, you know, raised that are interested in serving their military, and not just for serving their military, but being a member of the military literally catapults your future, like catapults your future. And as several of these individuals, the presenters have expressed, you know, look at every single option, okay? Don't just be pinpointed because you either knew somebody or you really want to, you know, get into a particular academy, or maybe it was like the Air Force because you want to fly, that kind of stuff. But try as you will to really look at all the options out there, all the ROTCs, all the academies, because like I said, any option towards the military is a really, really good option for you and for your future, okay? I do have a team. I have 2 individuals that help me out, 2 petty officers, and then I have reps all in the areas that we take care of, like I said, Arizona, New Mexico, and El Paso, that can sit down with you and go over the application, answer any of your questions, and help you in any way possible to get this NROTC application going. Next slide. All right, so the 5 W's. I'm sure you've probably heard this term before, so let's start with the who. So you're college bound. If you're on here, you are college bound, okay? Make sure that, again, you're looking at all of your options, all right? In our case, again, we're similar to all the other ROTCs and other in the academies. We have an SAT minimum score of 1100, an ACT score of 44. We do have a new option that includes pre-med. A lot of what we're doing right now will gear towards a Navy option, which is serving in the Navy in about 6 different categories, or you can actually apply for a nurse option for your ROTC scholarship, and now you can apply for a pre-med option, okay? Again, similar to the rest, you know, we're gonna pay your college tuition. We also give you money for books, and you do have paid summers, okay? You do start the application your junior year, April 1st, and then you can apply to several different colleges. I don't want to like kind of beat that down, but there's several different colleges as long as they have a Navy ROTC option. All right, go ahead, next slide. Okay. All right, so again, just looking at some of these colleges, I like to point out a lot of the big name universities. I see every application that comes in, and it's very common to see a lot of these universities, especially for you as being in New Mexico. Of course, you know, we have an option for the University of New Mexico. Just looking at the other ROTCs that have presented for their actual units, it's very similar environment for the most part, especially University of New Mexico. They have the other ROTC units there, so it's kind of cool because you can kind of see how, like, you know, maybe have some competitions and things like that, just to enjoy that college experience. And then as I believe it was the Army ROTC, they do waive room and board in regards to the University of New Mexico, and they're not the only ones. There's a lot of colleges out there that do the same. Okay. All right, so the job. You're gonna obviously be a naval officer after your education, okay? Again, I pointed out there's a difference, right? You have commissioned officer and then you have enlisted. I'm an enlisted individual, I'm an E8. You would be a commissioned officer, so you literally walk into a leadership position, okay? Again, surface warfare, aviation, submarines, special warfare, nursing, and now we have our pre-med option, okay? Think about what applying to scholarships like this and recognizing like how vast your options are. You can live in places like California. You can live in places like Florida, Virginia, and remember, you're going to schools and your tuition is completely paid. And in some of those, they're gonna actually comp your room and board. That's for making this huge decision to serve, you know, in a military branch. I'm super proud of you. I can't tell you enough how much option you have available to you at this time of your life. It's a very exciting time, okay? Again, the pay, once you get out of the education side of it, you'll be a commissioned officer. the starting pay nowhere near as much as a lot of I won't say regular, but college students today that did not make the decision to go out for something like this on a military level. They're not starting salaries in a lot of cases as large as we are. Okay. And remember, on a Navy level or on a military level, you have a base salary, and then you have things like your housing allowance, your food allowance. Those housing allowance, those food allowance, that's tax free. Like, that's awesome. That's amazing for you guys to actually take advantage of. Again, can't tell you enough how important this decision is for you. Okay. Next slide. All right. So similar scholarship requirements. Okay. If there's any questions that you guys might have, but you have to be a U.S. citizen, high school graduate. Okay. In other words, on your way to graduating this year. All right. And then obviously for those, graduating the years after, but predominantly those that we have as applicants have to be high school graduates. However, if people or yourself has already graduated and you haven't actually attended university yet, or you did attend and then you couldn't support yourself to actually keep going after your first semester or so, you can still apply for the scholarship up to age 23. Okay. Meet the SAT and ACT requirements. All right. There's a SAT requirement of 1100, and then there's a combined score. You also have the 44 for the ACT. I already mentioned that. Again, between the ages of 17 and 23. So you or anybody that is already graduated from high school can still actually apply for the scholarship. A lot of people don't know that. They think, oh, this is only available to high school seniors, but that is not correct. Okay. Again, predominantly high school seniors are looking at this scholarship, which is outstanding. No criminal record. Again, I'm not talking about like, just you got a couple of tickets, or maybe, you were rowdy at a local concert or something like that. Like, I'm not talking about that, but major criminal record. That's something that, unfortunately, because we are going to catapult you into a leadership position, someone over myself that has been in the service for 24 years, they're very, very careful and want to make sure that they're getting the most upstanding individuals to be the officers in the United States Navy. Okay. Be physically and medically qualified. Again, the process when you're applying for the actual ROTC application, we won't be looking at anything medical. The medical stuff comes later, similar to all of the other ROTCs. Okay. And then you will apply to, or you will state 5 schools on your application that you're interested in attending under the NROTC scholarship, the Navy ROTC scholarship, and you have to apply to those. Okay. So in other words, we would like you to be admitted to them. Are you going to be 100% admitted to every single one? No. You just need to be admitted to one in order to take advantage of the NROTC scholarship if it's offered to you. Okay. Next slide. All right. Almost done here, but I really want you to write this down, jot it, take a picture, whatever you have to do. I know that a lot of these slides are going to be sent to you guys and you'll get a lot of information, but that is the way that you will apply for your NRTC scholarship. Okay. That is the site. It's a little quirky sometimes, but just make sure that you start it, that you put all in valid information. I know this is going to sound funny, but I get a lot of individuals that are not capitalizing their names. Don't ask me why. Make sure you capitalize your name. I wanted to put that plug in there. But again, just making sure that you start the application now. During the application process, if you're having some questions, reach out. Okay. I've got more than enough individuals and myself. We respond to emails all the time. If you would like some help, like personal help to do the application, either at school, at your home, at an office, something like that, I can assign a Navy rep in your area to make sure that you can get through the application process smoothly. There are certain levels of the application. You'll have a full application that you fill out. You have to do your statements in there. There'll be some similar questions across the board, like as if you were filling out other scholarship applications as well. Questions that you'll answer, you'll kind of pinpoint, some of the things that you've done in school, maybe some of the awards that you've gotten. The big thing that I do as far as our packages are concerned to submit for every person that is going for the Navy ROTC scholarship is I really, really encourage you to email me anything you want in the package, okay? Anything else that you think would be really, really good. So in the actual application, we only ask for a counselor evaluation, a math teacher evaluation. If you're going out for nurse, it has to be a science teacher evaluation, okay? And then an other teacher or someone that you admire, somebody else that can give you an evaluation, okay? So it could be a coach, it could be like a boss, it could be your pastor. I mean, it could be pretty much anybody that you think, that you idolize or you look up to, and then they, give you a recommendation. So they're only asking for 3. However, if you have recommendations from anyone else, if you have awards that are not mentioned on the application or asked for on the application, like for instance, if you've been, maybe you wrote some articles that got published, or you were actually written about on an article, things like that, just please, send us anything that might kind of boost your package. And I'm sure this goes for all the ROTC applications as well, not just the Navy, but think about those things that could really boost your application. Again, questions, if you have them, we're always here, but I get that question a lot, so I wanted to point that out. Next slide. All right. I always say this, it's my favorite term. It's a great day to join the Navy. All right. Again, I am Senior Chief No. Okay. I do have 2 individuals that work with me. I have Petty Officer Rosado and I have Petty Officer Lubaditra. If you wrote to me or if you started an application, you might hear from one of us as your primary person that actually gives you, the most information. But again, in your territory or in your area, I can assign somebody that you can see face to face and can help you out with your application. I did want to point out something too. Go ahead, next slide. All right, so this is my commanding officer. So I'm pretty proud of him. He's a really, really personable guy. He did graduate under an NRTC scholarship. By the way, it is the largest way that the Navy actually attains their officers is through the NROTC scholarship. So he's very passionate. He does a lot of presentations in the area. He tries to get involved as much as he can. But this is just highlighting him a little bit of some of the cool things that he's done. Again, I am enlisted. I haven't been able to take advantage of stuff like this, but I'm super proud of you for considering these kinds of options now. Learn as much as you can, keep on learning as much as you can, and definitely take advantage of anything you possibly can when it comes to a military career and letting it actually help your future as large as it will. All right, thank you so much. Have a great night.
All right. So thank you, Senior Chief. My name is Midshipman Brown. I am a senior Marine option at the University of New Mexico, NROTC. And similar to what Senior Chief No just spoke about, the Marine option for the NRTC scholarship is kind of a parallel track to become a Marine Corps officer. So next slide, please. Basically, what that includes is the normal benefits that we've been speaking about all night, including full tuition, lab fees, books, uniforms, and up to $200,000 in support, leadership development and opportunities, structured academic environments, a monthly stipend that can range from $250 to $400, depending on which year you're in. And most universities will help you with room and board, which I'll speak about later. But most importantly, it gives you the opportunity to commission as a United States Marine Corps officer. Unlike the Naval Academy, which we spoke about before, as a Marine option, you choose that from your first year that you're going to commission as a Marine Corps officer. Whereas with the Naval Academy, that's chosen later in your career as a midshipman. Next slide, please. And so as a Marine officer, there are many different jobs you can go into. Of course, you have your normal infantry, but we also have intelligence, engineering, pretty much anything you can think of, a lot of admin jobs, things of that nature. So like a lot of the other branches, the sky's the limit in terms of what you can actually do in the Marine Corps. And in terms of the eligibility requirements, they're pretty much the same as what we saw with the other ROTC scholarships, and that you need to be a United States citizen between 17 and 23 years old and a second class PFT. So PFT is going to include your pull-ups, a plank, and then a 3-mile run. As for those minimums, what you should shoot for males, that would be between 8 and 12 pull-ups, a 2:45 to 3-minute plank, and about a 26-minute 3-mile. For females, that would probably be about a 2 to 3 pull-ups, same plank time, so about 3 minutes. And then for your 3-mile run, that would be about 27 to 28 minutes. So, and then also you need to be a high school senior. And then to continue on, you need to graduate high school. And then your testing scores, you need to have 1,000 on the SAT, a 22 composite score on the ACT, or you can have a 74 on your ASVAB. And if you're pursuing enrollment, you do need an acceptance letter, or as I was. The acceptance letter is not required to receive the scholarship slot. So next slide, please. And then there's schools all over the country that are participating in the NROTC. And so you can pretty much end up anywhere around the country. But to speak on to the University of New Mexico, as you probably well know, as New Mexico residents, you do get the opportunity or lottery scholarship, which already covers your tuition. The NROTC scholarship will then cover your room and board. So essentially you're going to school for free if you're a New Mexico state resident. Also of note is that at UNM particularly, we're at this really high elevation. So it helps a lot when you're going to your summer training, which I'll speak about in the next few slides, but you have an advantage in that you're training at this higher level. So when you actually go to these follow-on summer trainings, you're going to be above the rest. Next slide, please. And then in terms of your obligation, your freshman year, you don't have any obligation. Your obligation doesn't start until the September 1st of your sophomore year. And then after which you have 4 years of required service upon graduation. And then as it's been mentioned before, flight training can incur additional service duties. Next slide, please. And then in terms of college academic requirements, you can pretty much have any major. You can have you can be majoring in history, you can be majoring in sociology, you can be majoring in engineering if you want. And then also be enrolled as a full-time student with 15 credit hours a semester and be in good academic standing with a minimum of 2.5 GPA. And then in terms of military education, you'll be taking 1 naval science class per semester where you'll be wearing those uniforms to class. And then a naval science class once per week. And in terms of those naval science classes, as a Marine option, you'll be taught a lot of tactics. You'll be taking a whole class on the concept of maneuver warfare and then evolution in warfare as well. And then on top of that, you'll have PT 2 to 3 times a week. Which at least 1 or 2, depending on the school you go to, will be with just the other Marine options. It's usually called Bulldog. And then in terms of your summer training that I spoke about before, so your freshman year, you'll be mixed in with the Navy option midshipman that we spoke about earlier. And then you'll be with, you'll go to Corpsman, which is where you embed with Navy and Marine Corps units. And you generally spend about a week with each community, including submarines, surface warfare, that's your normal boats, and then aviation, and then of course your Marines. Next slide. And then sophomore summer, you go to FMF, which is purely, you spend 4 weeks with just the Marines. You get to see what the different communities in the Marine Corps look like, and you get to do a lot of motivated training, and you ruck, and then prepare for OCS, which is on the next slide. So your junior summer, Officer Candidate School, OCS, is the culminating event as a Marine option. This is where you spend 6 weeks in Quantico, Virginia, and then you earn the title of Marine. And during that, you'll be taught weapons, tactics, land navigation, leadership, and history. You'll also be tested on that. And on top of that, you'll have your physical tests, your PFT, CFT, obstacle course, endurance course, and then numerous leadership evaluations in your leadership reaction course, small unit leadership evaluations, and command evaluation. Next slide. So these are some pictures of what OCS looks like. Yeah. And then in terms of the actual process, pretty much you'll follow the same process that you would go through for an NROTC scholarship for the Navy side. However, you'll check that box that says Marine option. And I would definitely recommend, if you're planning on doing this, to get to it right away. It takes about 3 months to get this rolling. Usually it's mostly just the process of getting everything going. So get working on that as soon as possible. Yep, and if you have any questions, feel free to contact Major Dakota Raymond, who is the Marine Officer Instructor here at UNM. His email is on the screen. He's also, if you want to call at any time, he's willing to pick up. So, yeah. And then next up will be the Merchant Marine Academy with Lieutenant Alexandria.
Thank you so much, Midshipman Brown. Good evening, folks. Thank you so much for your time and your attention. And thank you to the organizers of this event, Mr. Negrete and all involved. My name is Lieutenant Alexander. I am the admissions officer for the Western Territory for the United States Merchant Marine Academy. You guys all have so many great options here in front of you. I want you to consider each academy ROTC option, prep school option that is presented today, and then ask us, your admissions officers, lots of questions. There are no bad choices amongst the service academies, so you get the information that you need to make the decision about what's right for you. I'm so excited to bring you this information. Thank you so much. All the previous presenters have covered a lot of ground, and they really did a great job. So I'm going to focus on what sets us apart. We are one of the 5 federal service academies, and we are known as the Academy of Choices. And if you hadn't heard of us before today, that's okay. We're also one of America's best kept secrets. So we give you the opportunity of going into any branch of service upon graduation. So the Army, Navy, Air Force, Coast Guard, Marine Corps, Space Force, even the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, or NOAA Corps, which is a combination of scientific expertise and national service. These are the folks that are flying into the eyes of hurricanes with drones. They're mapping the seafloor. They're tagging sharks. They're even doing disaster response. So every branch of service is afforded to you through USMMA, even the NOAA Corps, as I stated. Next slide, please. So while our counterparts are more specific to their individual branches of service, we're going to give you the opportunity of engaging with each branch, learning about it, and then making that decision about what you feel is right for you, and you enter that branch as an officer, right? So another thing that sets us apart from our sister academies is that upon graduation, you will have the choice as to whether or not you will go active duty or the reserves. You certainly can go active duty, but we don't mandate that you do. Okay, so as you can see from this slide, we have the capacity to let you serve in the reserves, and the reserve option is very popular. So for the class of 2024, out of the 216 total graduates, 159, so over 70%, chose that Navy Reserve option. Now, every branch of service is represented in the graduating class, but as you can see, that one was very popular. And you see a nod to our graduates in the aviation field. We've got a lot of success getting people's careers started in that aviation field. Now, why would we give you the option to fulfill your service obligation in the reserves? Well, that's because we want you to become a merchant marine. But what even is a merchant marine, right? Next slide, please. So merchant stands for a supplier of goods. You encounter merchants all the time when you go shopping. And then marine, not to be confused with the Marine Corps, that's just a stand-in for nautical, right? Maritime. So a mariner is essentially a supplier of goods on the seas. So even if you come to the Merchant Marine Academy at Kings Point thinking that you want to become that Army Ranger or Navy SEAL, or you want to jump out of helicopters doing search and rescue for the Coast Guard, or you want to become an astronaut or a senator, all those things that Kings Pointers have gone on to do, during your time with us, you will be a merchant marine. You're going to be that supplier of goods on the seas. Now, essentially what we do every day is deliver. So everything from the shoes that we wear to the food that we eat, the cars we drive, and the gas we put in those cars. A lot of our electronics, right? If it's not made, grown, or manufactured in America, there's a really good chance that a merchant marine has brought it to you. So we are essentially marine transportation, logistics, shipping, and supply. So we're feeding the world, We're driving the machinery of the international marketplace and protecting America and her allies. So this is an inherently civilian industry, with most of our graduates sailing on US flag vessels in the private sector, but then it does have those defense applications. We are the supply line of the armed forces. So we're the ones delivering the weapons, bombs, bridges, tanks, the meals, everything that the troops need to get their jobs done overseas. So merchant marines are completely relied upon, but certainly not well understood. Next slide, please. Now, the maritime industry is vast. You're familiar with it and you don't even know. It goes from the cruise industry to oil tankers, to shipping container vessels. If you can see this slide here, that's the picture at the very top, that's a shipping container vessel, and each one of those little red dots is the size of a truck. Then the ships themselves can be 2 and 3 football fields long. So when you graduate from the Merchant Marine Academy, you can be out there responsible for millions of dollars worth of cargo, hundreds of millions of dollars worth of cargo. Maritime industry also includes things like people going up and down rivers on barges, tugboats, ferries, which are very popular here on the East Coast, to things like offshore energy and ocean surveying, stevedoring and portside management, and then things that aren't so obvious, like marine insurance and salvage, and then maritime law. A lot of our graduates go into maritime law. So it's this vast industry, but everywhere you look in the industry, you will find a King's Pointer. So we're not the only maritime college, but as a federal maritime college, we've got this great reputation for producing capable, highly skilled leaders. Many of our top students are recruited right out of their senior year by these corporations here. There's just a handful of them on this slide, because these corporations know that they're not going to have to put any more money into training you. As a USMMA graduate, you will be ready to hit the ground running. Next slide, please. So upon graduation, we would like for you to sail as a merchant mariner and serve in that capacity, but you have a choice. Remember, if you graduate from USMMA, you will already have so much experience working in the private sector, seeing the maritime industry from the inside. You'll have your pick of the jobs. Many of our students, particularly the engineers, make well into the 6 figures right out of school. Next slide, please. All right. Sea Year is everybody's favorite part of the program. So at USMMA, we give you the opportunity of traveling outside the country as an undergraduate. We also call you midshipmen, and our mids see between 7 and 14 countries on average. This is Sea Year, right? It's the best paid internship study abroad program going. While you're with us at USMMA, you're going to sail the world on all types of ships. And this is the time during your time with us that you'll be getting paid about $1,000 a month. But more importantly, you're going to be moving from assignment to assignment, interning for these companies, getting your foot in the door, networking, and then setting yourself up for your career right after you graduate. You're gaining valuable experience, and you're also having the adventure of a lifetime. Next slide, please. All right, so here's a brief overview of our academy. We are located on 83 waterfront acres, which may sound like a lot, but it really is a small school. If you're coming from a small school or you'd like that small school feel for college, this might be the right program for you. We're located just outside of Manhattan, about 20 miles from the city. So you have the opportunity to integrate New York City into your college experience as you earn your liberty. What you're looking at here is a picture of Wiley Hall. That was the home of automobile magnate Walter P. Chrysler, but it now houses the office of our superintendent, the Academic Center for Excellence, which is our free in-house tutoring program, and other administrative offices. Enrollment here at the Academy is around 1,000 men and women across the classes. So again, a small school. Expenses, no cost for tuition, right? We are a tuition-free federal service academy. Our students do have annual fees under $1,000 for their uniform fees and laundry, as well as health insurance if your parents' health insurance does not cover you at sea. Student to faculty ratio, 13:1. We keep our class sizes really small, right? We have this very focused curriculum because the academy was from its outset and still is dedicated to serving and supporting the maritime industry, right? It's a specific industry, but with these wide-reaching effects. So next slide. So when you strip everything else away, the location, the regiment, the work and service opportunities after graduation, what we are is one of the nation's leading engineering schools, where you will learn how to design, build, and maintain ships and ship engines, and how to work in the maritime industry. So we offer one degree, the Bachelor of Science. It's broken down onto 2 tracks, right? And with 5 majors on the 2 tracks. So it's marine transportation, maritime logistics, marine engineering, engineering systems, and engineering and shipyard management. So if you choose to go for the transportation track, you're going to be studying nautical science, ship operations, maritime business, cargo security, transportation security, and port security, supply chain management, international business, transportation management, and logistics. Now, if you're going for the engineering track, you're going to be studying the shipboard main propulsion plants. So that's all your steam, diesel, and gas turbine, all of the auxiliary systems like electrical, HVAC, hydraulics, maintenance and repair, naval architecture falls on this side of the house, as well as systems integration, management, and IT. Now, like the vast majority of the colleges in our area, we compete D3 for our sports. We offer football, baseball, basketball, soccer, swim, dive, and many more. I encourage you to reach out to our coaches directly at US MMA Sports if you're interested in being recruited for sports. I love D3 because you're not playing your sport like your scholarship depends on it. You're playing it because you love it. You want the support of your coaches and your teammates. You want to continue your physical fitness in a fun way. So do look into reaching out to our coaches if you're interested in playing for US MMA. Now, it is worth mentioning we compete D1 for the waterfront sports, and we have our own Regatta Bay and a very highly regarded waterfront program. And of course, we have lots of clubs and activities to round out your college experience. Next slide, please. So here's the key information that you need, right? We convey that Bachelor of Science degree. Our graduates will earn their commission as officer in the branch of service or reserve element of their choice, and their U.S. Coast Guard license of unlimited tonnage. So this is a civilian credential. It just has defense applications. Now, the service obligation. I think this is one of the best things about the school besides C-year is how we allow you to repay your service obligation. So you may choose to serve 8 years in the Navy Reserve or reserve element of your choice while maintaining your Coast Guard license for 6 years and working in the maritime industry for 5. Now, when I was a kid, there were these commercials on TV that would say, join the Navy Reserve 1 weekend a month, 2 weeks out of the year. Well, the deal for our graduates is just the 2 weeks out of the year, right? 2 weeks out of the year times 8 years. Now, why would we allow you to fulfill your service obligation that way? Well, if you sail in the maritime industry, maybe you're on a ship 4 months, 6 months, 9 months out of the year. You can't come back and forth for the 1 weekend a month. So that's why the Navy Reserve option is the most popular one at our school. But perhaps you come to the academy knowing you want to do the most for your country. You know you want to activate. You will serve 5 years active duty in the branch of service of your choice. Remember, all of the branches, including Space Force and including the NOAA Corps. Now, how do you get in? Pretty much the same as the other academies. You must be academically, physically, and medically qualified, as well as receive the congressional nomination. Our nomination process is unique in that we can accept a nomination from any nominator in your entire state of domicile. So we do encourage you to apply widely, but we cannot take those presidential, vice presidential, or service-related nominations. So do pay close attention to your congressional nomination application deadlines. At this time, we do still require the SAT or the ACT. I will say there's no stigma against testing multiple times, and we do also super score. Our application opens May 1st every year and closes February 1st of the following year. So I encourage you all, seniors or post-graduate high school graduates, go ahead and open your applications. Let's see here. Next slide, please. And so if there's anybody outside of the New Mexico area, here is the contact information for all of our admissions officers. I'm Lieutenant Alexander. I'm the admissions officer for the Western Territory. Everybody in the yellow states, do feel free to contact me via phone, email, or text. We also have our financial aid officers information here if you're interested in applying for free financial aid. So you guys, you have a lot of opportunities here in front of you. Do give each academy, each program consideration. Wish you lots of luck. And then I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Richard Hoyle with the Coast Guard Academy.
Thanks, Lieutenant Alexander. It's always a pleasure to follow after you. We're going to talk about the U.S. Coast Guard Academy. I thank everybody for their participation tonight. In this first slide, this is an overview of the campus in New London, Connecticut, where the academy is located. Next slide, please. One of the unique features about the Coast Guard, it does have a multi-mission. It has a lot of humanitarian focus, and it is also under the Department of Homeland Security. It's considered one of the 6 armed services. Next slide, please. As a quick overview, there's typically 1,100 to 1,200 cadets enrolled in the academy. They're from all 50 states. There's also international cadets that represent 20 different nations. As an overview, you'll see a lot of them are varsity athletes. And what you'll see here in those degrees are STEM-focused cadets. It's also one of the top undergraduate experiences in the northeastern part of the US. You can see it's listed for a top engineering school. And just like the other academies, it's known for its low student to faculty ratio, giving you a great experience. And also you'll graduate with that 100-ton Mariner's license. Next slide, please. These are the academic majors that the Academy provides. And once again, you'll see a STEM focus there. Next slide, please. We have, just like all the other programs, whether you're in ROTC, the academies, each of them are designed to make you the most professional leader that our nation deserves. And there's going to be different ways to do it. One thing I'd like to point out here that the Coast Guard Academy takes great pride in is it has at the very bottom there, you see learn by doing. Besides simulators and different ships, it's also known for having Coast Guard Cutter Eagle. It's one of the only known sailing ships still in active service of any nation's services. So each year the cadets will go out there and start off in basic roles of seamanship, and as they advance in their schooling, they will go into leadership roles to manning that ship and directing others how to do their roles. And you can actually find the schedule for that if you're near port cities, and then visit that cutter if you're in the area. Next slide, please. So the Coast Guard Academy, just like all the other academies, has a wide variety of varsity sports, clubs, recreational, intramural sports. And if you don't see anything that you like on here, you can also develop your own. I don't see it listed, but there's also an aviation club where you could take care of that. And we'll talk about it here in a little bit. But 20% of the cadets graduate with a flight program. So that's approximately 20 of the students. And then afterwards, within the next 3 years of their commissioning, they will also have opportunities to go into the flight program. And the flight program for the Coast Guard involves rotary wing as well as fixed wing. Next slide, please. Just like the other academies, this is a pretty standard eligibility. So we'll just move past that to next slide. Leaders of character. You're going to see the pillars, the 3 pillars here. They utilize academics, leadership, and athletics to make a student leader that will provide the best leader from this academy. And next slide, please. This is a quick overview, and you'll see many of the dates, if not all, are very similar to all the other ones. And we will move on to the next slide, please. This is for you juniors out there. If there are some of you getting ahead, and I commend you for that are watching tonight, this is for high school juniors, and the dates there, it opens February 1st to April 1st. So in 2026, be ready for that if you're a junior. You can apply and go to the Coast Guard Academy, and they'll give you an immersion experience where you can see what it's like in a day in the life of being in the academy there. So you can see there's 3 6-day sessions, and it's in July of the summer. Next slide, please. So these are very similar events you'll see to everybody, as well as the other academies. What I would say is take note of the Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, so that you can see all the events going on at the Coast Guard Academy. Next slide, please. So this is real important. You'll want to scan this. And some of you have asked if this will be available to be sent out. And I don't know if they mentioned it, but this will be posted on the congressional website for all to look at after it's been reviewed. I do believe, if I didn't misspeak, that's what they usually do. Some other points for the Coast Guard Academy. 85% of the officers, after their 5-year obligation, stay in the Coast Guard, which is a phenomenal rate, showing that it's very successful and a very happy career. You're going to save more than $280,000 by going to the Coast Guard Academy. You're going to get paid to go while you're going to the Coast Guard Academy, and you're going to get top-notch education. When you graduate, you'll be a leader, and then you'll be developing years of experience for your future. Just like everybody on here tonight, I commend everybody. What you'll notice as they tell you to investigate the different programs, you're going to find that everybody there is a leader, a mentor, and have lots of experience. So use that experience to your advantage as you apply and get a feel for these different career fields. Also, I believe I mentioned earlier, but 10% of the graduating class of the Coast Guard attend flight school for fixed or rotary wing. And once again, they do have extra chances in the next 3 years of their career. Other things I want to really point out about the Coast Guard is it's a really tight-knit community because it's small size. For instance, I mentioned in the beginning that the Coast Guard Academy is comprised of 1,100 to 1,200 cadets, whereas the U.S. Naval Academy or Military Academy or Air Force Academy are approximately 4,400 to 4,500, so 4 times larger. What that's going to do is if you're interested in the Coast Guard Academy, you're going to have more leadership experience, more frequent, because you're in just a smaller setting. So if that's what you like, just that personalized training, a tight-knit community, the Coast Guard Academy would be something right up your alley. When you compare that to the active service, the Coast Guard active duty is 42,000 members strong, whereas the U.S. Army is approximately 420,000, the U.S. Navy 340,000. So you could see right away, it's a very small force. So it's very family-oriented, family-like, and very personable. And with that said, I also want to commend or talk about the humanitarian aid missions. It's also Homeland Security missions, environmental protection missions, counter-narcotic missions, and defense missions. So a lot of different variety there in the Coast Guard. With that said, I'll put my contact information in the chat if you have any questions. And I thank you for your listening to me tonight. And I'm going to be followed by Lieutenant Colonel Adam Villegas from New Mexico Military Institute. Have a great night, and I wish you all the best of luck.
Hello, everybody. I'm Lieutenant Colonel Villegas, the director of the Service Academy Prep program at New Mexico Military Institute. I know we're running over time, so I'm going to make it quick. But first, I want to congratulate every single one of you for attending this session. What a tremendous opportunity you have from all the presenters to pursue your education and your military goals. Wow, incredible. So as NMMI, next slide, please. We are a 4-year high school and a 2-year college. I specifically help you navigate trying to get into the academies as a prep school. We start our junior year and our senior year in high school. And of course, unfortunately, we do have those that did not get accepted. And so they come in as a junior college and we try again. These are the classes that we prepare you for. That's up on the slide. We also bring you in a couple of weeks early to start fast track, which is your math and your chemistry. Next slide, please. So NMI, we support it. We have, just like any other school, we have small classes averaging 16. There's one-on-one tutoring. We have peer-to-peer tutoring. We are 100% here at the school that have a master's degree or PhD. So we do have the means to help you with whatever you need. We support 35 different countries. It is a leadership laboratory, so some of you will have the opportunity to be leaders in the first semester throughout the year as you navigate applying for the academies or any military school you want to go to. Next slide, please. So, of course, physical fitness is top, academically strong, physical fitness. On the slide, you'll see some of those that we do. We have 2 gyms. We're working on our 3rd gym so that you all have opportunities to work out. We do the rappel tower, high ropes, low ropes, just different activities. We're very fortunate this year also to start swimming. We have swim class for all the preps every Thursday morning to prepare you for the academies. We found that swimming, you just need to learn how to swim. And we have swimming school. If you don't know how to swim, we'll have swimming lessons to help you out for the year. Next slide, please. So this is critical. You can't really see the, you can't really see the schedule. You can't really see the schedule, but I do want to point out a couple things. Right there, you'll see the breaks. We have about a 50-day academic schedule. We break during Thanksgiving week all the way up, and you will not return until January 2nd or 3rd if you're in a leadership position, if you choose to. If not, you'll report around the 10th or 12th of January. So that's a big break because we work hard throughout the semester to prepare you. Okay, next slide. Okay, here's the wellness. Of course, we have chapel, campus police, the learning center, and of course, we have the most fine dining in the world. Next slide. Okay, all the preps will participate in community service activities. We have 38, 40 activities you can participate in. You will participate in high altitude training, again, swimming, rappel tower, high ropes, low ropes, paintball, obstacle course, a lot of different things because we think community service helps you be a well-rounded individual. Okay, next slide, please. Of course, we are a 4-year high school, 2-year college. Those are the sports that we offer. We are a D1 junior college. So if you're going to play sports, I just tell you to reach out. We'll get you in contact with those coaches. Next slide, please. Cost. This is a great one. You'll see the cost up there, but I'm very happy and proud to say that New Mexico students can come to NMMI at no charge, and that's all inclusive. We're very proud of that. Now, those that are a little bit out of state, or if you need help with a couple of other items, we do have over 180 plus scholarship platforms, a lot of different stuff that we can do. But we're very proud of saying if you're from New Mexico and attending a school in New Mexico, you can come to NMMI for free. Next slide, please. That's my information. I wanted to go through this fast because I know we're over time, but that's my information. I want to also throw out thank you, everyone and the students for attending. Mr. Negrete, thank you for always putting on a phenomenal show and opportunities for these students to attend their academics and their military careers. And I challenge all of you, and I offer to all of you, come visit NMMI, give me a holler, and we'll give you a VIP tour. Thank you so much, and I appreciate you.
Thank you, sir. So here's contact information for our presenters. Please take a moment to jot down their emails so you can reach out to them if you have any additional questions. We are past our time, but I just want to take a moment to say thank you to all of our presenters for participating and sharing their information. And for all the students that are still on, as has been mentioned by several folks, congratulations for doing this. You are basically setting up your foundation to succeed in the future. Whether you attend one of these academies, if you participate in ROTC or attend NEMI, you are putting together a foundation that will let you succeed in life and will be invaluable. So I wish you all the best of luck in your applications. If you have any questions regarding the process, the status of your applications, or if you just need to just figure things out, call any of the congressional members' office representatives. We are here to help you and guide you as best as possible. If there are any additional questions that did not get addressed, let's take a moment now to put that in the chat box. But if nothing pops up within the next minute, I think we can say good night. And again, keep in mind the deadlines to submit everything will be October 4th for the congressional delegation. Get that packet in on that date, and you'll be guaranteed an interview either on November 8th for the Senate side, November 1st for Representative Stansberry, or November 15th for Representatives Vasquez or Ledger Fernandez. I'm seeing contact information being put in the chat box, so please be sure to monitor that if you want to get individuals' direct phone numbers and emails. And again, here on this slide that we have up shows some of the presenters and their contact information. Okay, I am not seeing any additional questions come in. Oh, wait a minute. We have one. Regarding nominations, can one apply to all three representatives' offices in addition to the two senators? No, you can only apply to the House member that represents the district you live in. So if you're not sure who represents you in your district, you can contact your county clerk's office, or you can contact Senator Lujan or Senator Heinrich's office, and we can look that up for you. But you're only allowed to apply with both senators and your House member. So a total of 3 applications. And we encourage you to apply with all 3 just to improve your chances. And seeing nothing else, I wish you all, let's see. If you are denied your first application and do not make it to a prep school either, are you able to reapply? Yes. If you don't make it this round, you can apply next year and you can continue to apply up until right before your 23rd birthday. So as long as you're within that age range, you're able to apply. I've had students in the past who do not get a nomination and they work on either their academics or their physical fitness and reapply, and a majority of them end up getting a nomination. If they get a nomination but not accepted to the academy of their choice, usually those representatives of the academy will guide you as to what you need to work on and will maybe recommend a prep school for you to hone in the skills that need improvement. And again, as long as you still meet those requirements and age range, you can reapply at any point. And as Merchant Marines is pointing out, they will accept congressional nominations from outside of your district. And also, please keep in mind with Coast Guard, you do not require a congressional nomination. Okay. Well, with that, we will say good night. Thank you for participating, and I look forward to seeing your applications soon. Have a good night, everybody.